Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we are going to be finding out what happens if you bring the Shrunken Head to the tiny church in the bayou area of the swamp. So, in case you guys are like me and you had no idea what the heck the Shrunken Head is, don't worry, I had no idea until one of you guys actually messaged me on Facebook the other day. I got a message from Dalton Mills who told me to check out the Shrunken Head in the swamp. And I was like, what the heck is the Shrunken Head? Like, the only shrunken body part I had known about in Red Dead Redemption 2 is that guy in the swamp with the withered arm, who happens to be the cousin of, like, Archibald, one of the guys who works for Sheriff Gray. So that's the only shrunken thing that I had known about. I did not know that there was a Shrunken Head. Well, apparently this is in the same spot where the gang sort of holds up in that very tiny point between Chapter 5 and Chapter 6. After they get back from Guarma, but before they move to Beaver Hollow. I think it's called Le Quay. It's located near La Grasse. And even if you're not checking this out for the Shrunken Head, you guys should probably visit here for like all of the provisions you can get. Like, just going in a cabin or two is going to get you some seriously good stuff, whether it's health cures or gun oil or provisions or jewelry. And there's a lot of little cabins in here where you can find a ton of stuff. Like, I'll be fast forwarding it a little bit just so we can get through everything. But there is a ton of stuff in here that you should really grab. So overall, it's a really profitable and lucrative trip that I would definitely recommend you guys end up taking. And there's like 4 or 5 little different areas that you can go inside, all of which have a bunch of different things for you to grab. So again, I would highly recommend checking out this place if you haven't already. However, let's get on to the star of the show today, and that is the Shrunken Head. So if you happen to go in one of the shacks closer towards the bigger buildings, you'll actually notice that I think it's like a tiny makeshift church, or like a place of worship or prayer or something like that, because you can see that there's a cross on the table. There seems to be lit/burning candles, and there also seems to be this like jar in the center. And on the surface level, if you didn't do anything, you wouldn't suspect that there was anything unusual about this location. However, if you actually shoot the little pot, I don't know what it's made of, you'll notice that an object will fall out. And Arthur has the ability to take the Shrunken Head. And this is very, very tiny, like way tinier than like a normal person's head or even like a small animal's head. But as you guys can see there, it certainly looks to be human, although I'm not exactly sure what happened to it. It does look like it's been altered or edited in some way, shape, or form. But if you take the Shrunken Head, you can see what it looks like on the right-hand side of the screen. And again, you can see that there looks to be some like religious aspects/elements to this location and to this area to where the Shrunken Head was actually found. And if we actually inspect it in our satchel, you guys can see here that it literally is a Shrunken Head. That's it. And it is called a unique item, or I should say it's classified as a unique item. So I was thinking, because this Shrunken Head was found in this area where it looks to be sort of like a makeshift church, and of course it's tiny after all, could this Shrunken Head belong to someone that would have attended the tiny church? So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, literally located just like 5 or 10 steps away is a tiny church. I'm not talking about like a small-sized church. I'm literally talking about a shrunken church, as you guys can see here. And the first thing I did was end up going on the inside to see if I could maybe activate something. Like, would bringing the Shrunken Head to this tiny church allow us to do anything? And at least as far as my brief experiments, there wasn't anything that I was able to do. Like, I even tried to open up the inventory where I could potentially use the Shrunken Head for something, but I wasn't able to. I wasn't even able to drop it inside of the church to see if anything would happen. You can see that all of my valuables here are unable to be used inside of this church. So this is pretty interesting. Again, I'm not exactly too sure, number one, what the tiny church is used for, but also number two, what's the point of that Shrunken Head? It just seems so random. Now, if you guys think you have a better idea on what we could use the Shrunken Head for in relationship to the tiny church, let me know in the comments down below, because I tried all sorts of experiments with the Shrunken Head and the tiny church. Like, I even went outside and inspected the area. It's a point of interest, by the way. That didn't change what we were able to do in terms of, interacting in any way, shape, or form with the Shrunken Head. I've heard rumors and reports that you can actually listen to the bell ringing on the tiny church if you go like a certain distance away. Maybe that had something to do with it. Number one, I wasn't able to hear the ringing from a far distance away. However, if you did actually get on top of the church, you can sort of shoot the bell with your weapon, and it will cause it to start ringing over and over and over again. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I was really stumped by this, trying to figure out what the heck this could potentially be used for. Now, after not having a lot of success at the tiny church, what I did was I went to the one place in which I thought in some way, shape, or form I might be able to interact with the Shrunken Head, and that is the fence. So I went to the Saint Denis fence and I tried to sell him some items, and wouldn't you know, you're able to sell the Shrunken Head, and it can be sold for $15. Now you might be thinking to yourself, $15 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but remember, in 1899, that would have been a ton. If we actually convert that to what that would be in 2019 dollars, it would be about $456. That's a lot of money for just turning in a tiny little head. So you can see just how valuable something like that would have been. However, I did not want to sell the Shrunken Head, because once you sell something like this, it is gone forever. The fence is not going to give it back. So I actually held on to it, and you can see it's not even the most valuable thing I have here. Like, gold bars can sell for a whole lot more. Those jewelry bags sell for a good bit. So it's not like it's all that valuable, but it is interesting that you can sell it. And I wonder if that's the only purpose of this item, is literally just to sell it at the fence. Now, upon figuring this out, I started to do a little bit more research on why we might find a Shrunken Head in that area. Now, after just doing a little bit of research from this, it appears that head shrinking is like an actual thing that some people do. It's been documented in the northwestern region of the Amazon rainforest that tribes are known to have shrunk heads to actually fend off and scare away their enemies. However, the one we found seems to have more of like a either tribal or voodoo or religious purpose, as it wasn't like impaled on a spike or hanging from a ceiling, but instead was inside of like this pot, like it was being preserved for safekeeping. So maybe this has something to do with like the voodoo aspect of where we're located. Remember, we found that in La Grasse. And what's pretty interesting is there's one mission in particular where even Arthur and Charles start to talk about the creepiness of this place. And they even mention like the skulls and the tiny heads that are in this area. This actually occurs in the mission That's Murphy Country, where Arthur and Charles sort of head off to Butcher's Creek.
You did good getting the others out of there. Keeping everyone together.
Everybody was pretty shaken up when I got back to Shady Belle. It was a tough few days. I couldn't have done it without Sadie.
So how did you find that spot back there? I assume the skulls on sticks weren't an addition of yours.
Old Strauss knew about it. The locals are terrified of the place, so we figured that might buy us some time. And it did. Until one of you brought the law with you. And where did you end up again? Cuba?
Oh, not exactly. An island off of there called Warma. Landed ourselves in a heap of trouble.
Really? A tropical island? Isn't that just what Dutch wanted?
I guess it didn't exactly live up to his ideals. Anyway.
So even members of the gang are terrified of this place and are not too sure what to think of the tiny skulls and whatnot. So as always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Again, let me know what you think about this entire situation here with the Shrunken Head, delivering it to the tiny church. What do you think it means? Again, let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily Red Dead Redemption 2 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.